You are about to listen to the Exclusively Here with Diego Santoyo podcast. What's up, everyone? I hope you are all well and are all having a great week so far. It's almost over. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. This is Exclusively Here, and I am your host, Diego Santoyo. I'm beyond ready to dive into some world news. If you have yet to know what has been going on in the world this week, don't go away because I'm about to fill you in with some of the latest things that have been going on so far. Starting with the two intoxicated pilots. So, this one goes back to Saturday, August 27th, where two US pilots showed up drunk to a flight they were supposed to handle. Authorities did get involved and both pilots were arrested. The flight was supposed to take off in the morning from Scotland and land in New Jersey. However, it didn't take off until later in the evening because new crew was now needed and just trying to handle what was going on took up time. So the flight was delayed many hours, but the good thing about this all is that they managed to get the right crew to handle the flight instead of letting the drunk pilot handle it. I would have definitely been okay with the delay because I would rather be safe. Well, this week on Monday, August 29th, it was announced that both pilots were out on bail, but definitely are not off the hook just yet. There is the possibility of both pilots getting some time in prison or a fine. They could actually even get both. So this is not the first time that something like this has happened. There have been more cases out there of other pilots that have done the exact same thing of showing up to work intoxicated, which is so hard for me to understand. I mean, these pilots have such a huge responsibility. I just don't understand why they would drink before they have to fly. And also on Monday, there was a suicide car bombing, which ISIS did claim responsibility for. It took place it took place in the morning out at an I believe it was at an army training camp in Yemen. A little over 50 people were killed and about 60 were injured. This whole situation was described to be just horrible. I mean, body parts were spread out around the place, people laying there dead, and some people hurting, needing help. So very tragic what has happened. Apparently, security at the place was a bit careless, which made it even easier for this to happen. So it's really unfortunate that this has taken place. And on Tuesday, August 30th, a ferry out in New York City hit 10 kayakers. This happened in the evening out in the Hudson River. So pretty much they crashed into each other, and five of the 10 kayakers were injured. Each one who was injured was taken to the hospital to get treated. One of the five was seriously injured, bleeding a lot with a very bad wound on his arm to the point where you could literally see his bone. The other four had minor injuries, so they weren't hurt as bad, but still not good. So, as of right now, they are trying to see how it happened and whose fault it really was. It was being reported that the sun could have had a part in this. Sometimes the sun does get in the way and doesn't really allow you to see correctly because that glare can be pretty strong sometimes. So, if you tuned in to my podcast last week, I talked a bit about the earthquake that hit Italy. Central Italy was hit with a pretty strong earthquake this past week on Wednesday, August 24th, in case you didn't know. Many were killed and injured. So this week on Tuesday as well, a funeral was held in Italy for some of the victims who were killed when the earthquake happened. So the service was a really special thing, very sad, and it's just been really tough for everyone because a lot of people lost their loved ones when the earthquake hit. Uh, when the service started, names of the victims were read out loud, and once it ended, a lot of white balloons were released. Some families did choose to have private services for their loved ones that they lost. And it looks like rebuilding what was destroyed in central Italy will definitely be taking place without a doubt. It's been really tough for those that did survive because processing all of this just hasn't been easy and they have lost so much. It's horrible. And on Wednesday, August 31st, a woman and boy were killed when a car hit them out in southeast London. The car that hit them was being chased by police at the time. The woman and boy were not the only ones hit. Three girls were also hit as well and had a few injuries. The girls were taken to the hospital to get treated for their injuries. And it looks like the car, which was being driven by a 23-year-old man, was actually stolen. He was arrested and charged for his actions. The woman, boy, and three girls were all related, and people did try to help them out right after they were hit. So it's really sad that, this has happened. And this week, uh, two 12-year-old boys were charged for raping a 6-year-old girl. This incident happened sometime in early August, and just this week, the boys were charged for raping the young girl. Um, this had happened out in northern Sydney at a primary school. All three of them attended the same school, and it looks like both boys assaulted the girl in the restroom. So they were arrested this week with a few charges. One of the boys is set to appear in court this month, while the other is set to appear in court in October. At the moment, both boys are out on bail, but they are not allowed at the school. And it's just awful that this has happened. It sucks that you can't send your kids to school and just know that they are going to be okay. When you send your kids off to school, you just want them to be safe. And sometimes that just isn't always the case. There definitely needs to be more staff watching out for these students and just keeping a close eye on things to make sure that everyone is okay. These things should not be happening, but unfortunately, they are. So, New Zealand was just hit with a really strong earthquake with a 7.1 magnitude. Reports started coming in on Thursday, September 1st. But I believe the earthquake technically hit them early on Friday, which would be today on September 2nd, if you are actually tuning in on the day this episode went up. Because New Zealand is actually quite a few hours ahead of the US. So pretty much, it was a really strong earthquake, and as of right now, there hasn't really been any reports on injuries, deaths, or damage. Reports may come in later as the days go on, and tsunami warnings have been issued as of right now. So, last one before I end this segment and take a very, very short break. This one's really interesting. So, in 2004, a family took a trip out to China, and at the time, 24-year-old David disappeared when they were out there. So, he went missing, and it was assumed that he might have been dead, but it turns out that he might have just been, but it turns out that he might just be alive. So he has been recently spotted out in North Korea, where he probably lives, and it looks like he might be married and have children. So it seems like at the time when he went missing, he was actually kidnapped. And so now he is going to be tracked down, or at least tried to be tracked down. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Only hope for the best. And with that, I end this segment. Do not go away. We have one more segment to go, and we'll be right back after this. Hey everyone, just want to remind you guys that you guys are listening to Exclusively Here with Diego Santoyo. I hope you guys are enjoying this podcast so far. Exclusively Here with Diego Santoyo is made available to everyone by 12 a.m. or 6 a.m. every Friday, and you can find my podcast on my website, which is diegosantoyo.com. My podcast is also available on iTunes and on my YouTube channel. Thank you for listening. Okay, we are back, and it's time to shift gears here and get into some pop culture. Lots going on there this week, and I think we should get started with Ruby Rose. So she was with Harley Guzman, but not anymore because it was just announced this week that the two have broken up. So this was pretty much just some summer love, which is okay. Sometime in June was when it kind of got out there that the two were seeing each other. So they were together for a little over 2 months. I think they did care for each other, but they are successful women, and it seems like maybe their careers just weren't really allowing them to spend a lot of time together, enough to make things work out. So seems like the two are okay with each other, though. It doesn't seem like they had a bad breakup or anything like that, which is good. I think this was actually Ruby's first relationship since her engagement was called off last year in December. But the two are still not alone and still have the relationships with their careers, you know? So it looks like they will continue on in the best way, and that's by being busy and making an income. Who doesn't love that? Well, they just broke up, but Iggy Azalea and French Montana are linking up. I think Iggy is over Nick Young because the rumor is that she is now with French Montana. So they recently took a trip together and spent some time in Cabo, where it was being reported that the two even shared a room together. So speculation about the two kind of started in July. So they have been seeing each other, but nothing is really official yet. However, there is definitely something going on between the two. There are pictures of the two kissing and French holding on to her, and these pictures are from their time out in Cabo. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, so let's move on to Chris Brown. Looks like he got himself into some trouble this week, and it's definitely not the first time that he's gotten himself into some problems. So on Tuesday, August 30th, Chris was at his home with a few friends. One of them was even Ray J. Everyone was just hanging out, and Ray J was even getting a tattoo done. I guess three people showed up to Chris's house, and one of them was invited over, but the other two were not. So everything was fine until one of the uninvited guests was asked to leave. Her name is Bailey, and apparently things got weird after she was shown a piece of jewelry. She liked it and, thought it was neat, but she claims that Chris pretty much saw her admiring the piece and told her to get away from it. She said that from there, he was being very rude to her and asked her to leave and pulled a gun on her, which is crazy. So she took off, and this all happened early in the morning. Uh, she called the police to let them know what had happened, and they responded to the call around 3 a.m. So police showed up to Chris's house, and while sorting through this mess, the police did find drugs and they even found some weapons. So one thing definitely led to another, and Chris was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. So this story is still developing because new things are coming out, and authorities are just trying to get to the bottom of it right now. So, and it looks like Selena Gomez will be taking some time off from everything. She wants to take a break and devote some time to herself so she can really just focus on her health, which is really important for her to do. She's dealing with her lupus disease, and it's not easy. There are many side effects that come with it, like anxiety and depression. So she's dealing with a lot, and she needs some time to focus on herself and make sure that she's doing everything possible to maintain her health and be happy. I think this is a smart thing to do. So it looks like she will finish off her tour, which is set to end in December, and then she will take some time to herself, which will do her good. So let's move on to Tyga. It looks like he might not be paying his bills at all or on time because his Ferrari was repoed this week. So I'm sure some of you guys might have seen some pictures of the car before. It was red, really nice. But yes, it looks like he missed a few payments, so the car was taken away. However, Kylie actually surprised him later with a brand new Bentley. I'm highly positive this one will not get repoed because something tells me that she has no money problems. So she got him a really expensive car. It's worth around $300,000, so a lot of money there. This definitely must have made things a lot better for him after his car was taken away. So this gift to Tyga was very thoughtful, to say the least. And it looks like there will be a second season of Stranger Things. This is a Netflix series, and I have heard so much about it, but I have yet to watch it. I think eventually I will watch it, but there's just been so much talk about it lately, and it's all been good. I've heard so many people say really good things about the show. I still remember when Orange is the New Black came out, there was a lot of talk about it, just like this show. So it kind of sounds like this is the next big Netflix series. Well, it's a for sure that the show is coming back because it was announced on Wednesday, August 31st. And it will be back sometime in 2017. A lot of people are really excited for it to come back and see what's next. So I got to check it out and see what the deal is with it. So viewers can expect new characters and an extra episode for the second season. Season one got 8 episodes, and season two will be getting 9. So for some of you, I'm sure you guys can't wait for this second season to come out. And on to something else. Chloe Grace Moretz and Brooklyn Beckham have called it quits. I believe they met back in 2014, and Chloe had finally confirmed the relationship this past May when she was on Watch What Happens Live. So it's over now, and it seems like the breakup wasn't bad at all. They seem to be just fine and moving on. So on to the last one here. Going to end it with Justin Bieber. Looks like having fans definitely pays off because Justin was out getting lunch at a Subway, and when he was paying for his food, his card was actually declined. So, there's people waiting in line, and someone actually paid for his lunch. So, this was really nice of that person to do. It also helps speed things up because when things like this happen and the employees are trying to swipe the card again or see what they can do for the customer, which is great, but it holds things up a bit, and some people just want to get their food and get out. So something was probably just wrong with his card, who knows, but he got his lunch paid for, which is awesome. And I leave you guys with that. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. More to come. So tune in again next Friday. We'll see what's going on next week. This is exclusively here, and I am your host, Diego Santoyo. Until next time, have a good one.